Good morning and welcome back. Before I say anything else, I need you to stop what you're doing and pay very close attention to what I'm about to share with you, because this could literally save your life or the life of someone you love. What I'm going to tell you today is something most doctors never bring up during a routine visit. Something that happens quietly in the dark while you're completely unaware, and it is killing people every single night. A close friend of mine, a retired school teacher named Harold, 71 years old from Columbus, Ohio, was found by his wife one morning unresponsive. He had gone to bed feeling perfectly fine, no chest pain, no warning signs. He was gone before the ambulance arrived. The cause? A massive cardiac event that happened while he slept. And when I looked deeper into what had been going on with Harold in the months before, I found something that his primary care doctor had completely overlooked. Something that millions of seniors are doing right now tonight without realizing it is quietly damaging their heart, thickening their blood, and setting the stage for stroke and sudden death. A landmark study published by the European Heart Journal followed over 84,000 adults between the ages of 60 and 80 over a period of 9 years. The researchers found that individuals who engaged in a specific set of nighttime habits had a 67% higher risk of cardiovascular-related death during sleep compared to those who had made simple, targeted changes to their evening routine. 67%. That is not a small number. That is the difference between waking up tomorrow and not waking up at all. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, "Oh, doctor, I feel fine. I sleep fine. This doesn't apply to me." And that is exactly the kind of thinking that costs people their lives, because the most dangerous conditions never announce themselves. They build silently over months and years, like rust forming on the inside of a pipe, invisible until the pipe bursts. Today, I am going to walk you through 6 things that seniors need to stop doing before bed. These are ranked from number 6 down to number 1, and the closer we get to number 1, the more critical it becomes. I will tell you right now that number 2 on this list shocked even me when I first reviewed the research, and most of you have absolutely no idea you are doing it. So stay with me all the way to the end, because missing even one of these could cost you everything. But before we dive in, I want to ask you something personally. Leave a comment below telling me how old you are and whether you've ever woken up in the middle of the night with your heart pounding or feeling short of breath. I read every single comment on this channel, and your answers genuinely help me create content that serves you better. Now, let's get into it. Coming in at number 6, and this one might surprise you because it seems so harmless, is eating a large meal within 2 hours of going to bed. Now, I know this is something that millions of people do every single night. A late dinner, a big snack, maybe some leftovers before turning in. It feels comforting, but here is what is actually happening inside your body when you do this, and it is not pretty. When you eat a large meal, your digestive system demands an enormous surge of blood flow to process that food. Your heart has to work significantly harder to pump blood to your stomach and intestines. For a 30-year-old, this is manageable, but researchers at the University of Sao Paulo published findings showing that in adults over 65 postprandial, that means after eating, cardiac stress increases blood pressure by an average of 22 points and elevates heart rate substantially for up to 3 hours. Now imagine that happening while you are horizontal and asleep, with your body already in its most vulnerable state. There is also the issue of acid reflux and what is called vagal stimulation. When stomach acid travels upward, which happens far more easily when you are lying down with a full stomach, it can actually trigger irregular heart rhythms in susceptible individuals. After the age of 70, your lower esophageal sphincter, which is essentially the valve at the bottom of your throat that keeps acid down, weakens considerably, making this problem dramatically worse. The fix here is beautifully simple. Finish your last full meal at least 3 hours before bed. If you are genuinely hungry in the evening, a small, easily digestible snack, something like a few walnuts or half a banana, is perfectly fine. Pair this habit change with a short 10-minute walk after dinner. Research from the University of Limerick found that just a 10-minute post-meal walk reduces blood glucose spikes by 28% and takes significant pressure off your cardiovascular system during the critical nighttime hours. This one change alone, if you make it tonight, begins protecting your heart immediately. Now, let's move to number 5, and this is one that your doctor has almost certainly never mentioned. It is something nearly 60% of seniors over 70 do every single evening without a second thought. I am talking about taking your blood pressure medication in the morning when you actually should be taking it at night. A groundbreaking study published in the European Heart Journal, and I will put the full reference in the description below, followed over 19,000 patients over 6 years. The researchers discovered that people who took their antihypertensive medication at bedtime time rather than in the morning had a 45% lower risk of heart attack, a 49% lower risk of heart failure, and a stunning 66% lower risk of stroke. The reason comes down to something called nocturnal hypertension, a phenomenon where blood pressure spikes dangerously high during the early morning hours, typically between 3 and 6 a.m. This is the window when most cardiac events and strokes occur. When you take your blood pressure medication in the morning, it peaks in effectiveness around midday and wears off by the time you enter that dangerous early morning window. But when you take it at night, it is working at full strength precisely when your body needs it most. Now, critically, do not change your medication timing without speaking to your doctor first. Every situation is different, and some medications must be taken with food. But bring the study to your next appointment and have that conversation. It could genuinely save your life. This pairs remarkably well with what we will discuss at number 4. So pay attention because these two work together in a way that multiplies their benefit dramatically. Number 4 on our list is something I call the silent dehydration trap, and it is one of the most underestimated cardiovascular threats facing people over 65. Here's the dangerous irony. Most seniors intentionally drink less water in the evening to avoid waking up for bathroom trips during the night. That instinct makes complete sense on the surface, but what it is doing to your blood while you sleep is genuinely terrifying. As we age, our kidneys become less efficient at concentrating urine. The body's thirst mechanism, controlled by a part of the brain called the hypothalamus, becomes blunted after about age 60. Research from the University of Connecticut's Human Performance Laboratory found that older adults can be significantly dehydrated without ever feeling thirsty. Now, here is where it connects directly to your heart and brain. When you are dehydrated during sleep, your blood becomes thicker and more viscous. Think of the difference between water flowing through a pipe versus honey. That thick, sticky blood has to be pumped by your heart with far greater effort. It also forms clots far more easily, which is exactly how strokes happen. A study published in the American Journal of Epidemiology found that adults over 65 who were mildly dehydrated at bedtime had blood viscosity levels comparable to those seen right before a thrombotic stroke. The solution is not to chug water right before bed. That will just have you in the bathroom all night. Instead, drink a full glass of water with electrolytes, particularly potassium and magnesium, about 2 hours before sleep. Foods naturally rich in potassium, like a small sweet potato or a few dried apricots in the late afternoon, help maintain that hydration through the night without flooding your bladder. The magnesium specifically has the added benefit of relaxing arterial walls and actually lowering blood pressure during sleep. These two nutrients together are like giving your cardiovascular system a gentle protective cushion for the night ahead. Now, I want to take a quick moment here to ask you, if this channel has been helpful to you, please take 5 seconds right now and hit that like button and subscribe if you have not already. We are a community of people who believe that aging powerfully is absolutely possible. And every like and subscription helps us reach more seniors who need this information. It truly means the world to me and to this community. All right, let's keep going because we are getting into the most critical territory now. Number 3 is one that breaks my heart, because I see it every single week, and I saw it firsthand with a patient of mine named Dorothy, 78 years old, from Tucson, Arizona. Dorothy came to me after her second minor stroke in 18 months. She was on all the right medications. She exercised, she ate reasonably well, but when I asked her about her evenings, she described something I immediately recognized as a serious problem. Every night, without fail, Dorothy spent 2 to 3 hours lying in bed, scrolling through her tablet news, social media, family videos with the screen just inches from her face. She had no idea that this habit was directly destabilizing her cardiovascular system night after night. Here's the science. The blue light emitted by screens, phones, tablets, televisions directly suppresses melatonin production. Most people think of melatonin simply as a sleep hormone, but researchers at the Brigham and Women's Hospital, affiliated with Harvard Medical School, have demonstrated that melatonin plays a critical role in cardiovascular protection. It acts as a potent antioxidant that protects the lining of blood vessels called the endothelium from the kind of oxidative damage that leads to plaque buildup, arterial stiffening, and ultimately heart attack and stroke. When melatonin is suppressed by nighttime screen use, this protective shield is essentially lowered. In adults over 70, whose melatonin production is already reduced by 75% compared to younger adults, this suppression is particularly devastating. A study from the Journal of the American College of Cardiology found that chronic nighttime light exposure was associated with a 43% increase in major adverse cardiac events in older adults. Dorothy followed my advice. She instituted a strict no-screen policy after 8 p.m. Within 6 weeks, she told me she was sleeping more deeply than she had in years. Within 4 months, her inflammatory markers, specifically a substance called C-reactive protein, which measures inflammation in the cardiovascular system, had dropped by over 30%. She has not had a cardiac event since. Stop the screens 2 hours before bed. It is one of the most powerful cardiovascular decisions you can make. Number 2, and I promised you this one would surprise you, is sleeping on your back. Now, before you close this video and tell me I've lost my mind, please hear me out because the research behind this is absolutely undeniable. When you sleep flat on your back, gravity causes the tongue and soft tissues of the throat to fall backward, partially or fully blocking the airway. This is the primary mechanism behind obstructive sleep apnea, a condition affecting an estimated 50% of adults over 65, the majority of whom have never been diagnosed. During these apnea episodes, your brain sounds an emergency alarm, flooding your body with stress hormones, particularly cortisol and adrenaline. Your blood pressure can spike to dangerously high levels dozens, sometimes hundreds of times per night, each time lasting only seconds, brief enough that you never fully wake up, long enough to cause serious damage. The American Heart Association has now formally recognized untreated sleep apnea as a major independent risk factor for hypertension, atrial fibrillation, heart attack, and stroke. A study published in the journal Circulation found that adults with moderate to severe sleep apnea had a 58% higher risk of fatal cardiac arrhythmia during sleep. This is how healthy-seeming people die quietly in the night. If you share a bed, ask your partner whether you snore or seem to stop breathing momentarily during sleep. If you sleep alone, record yourself with your phone's voice memo app for one night. The signs are often unmistakable. Sleeping on your side, particularly your left side, which reduces pressure on the heart, is dramatically protective. A simple body pillow behind your back can prevent you from rolling over. For those with confirmed sleep apnea, a CPAP device is genuinely life-saving. Do not let stubbornness or discomfort keep you from using it. And now, we have arrived at number 1. The single most dangerous bedtime habit for seniors. The one that ties all of the others together and multiplies every cardiovascular risk I have described today. Are you ready? It is chronic, untreated, emotional stress left to fester in the hours before sleep. I want you to think about your typical evening for a moment. Do you watch the news, politics, crime, disasters right before bed? Do you lie awake running through worries about your health, your finances, your family? Do you replay difficult conversations or conflicts from the day? If so, you are engaging in what researchers at the University of California, Berkeley call rumination before rest, and its impact on your cardiovascular system is nothing short of catastrophic. Here's the mechanism. When you experience psychological stress, your body releases cortisol and adrenaline, the same stress hormones triggered by sleep apnea, but in this case, they are sustained. Chronic evening stress keeps these hormones elevated throughout the night, preventing your blood pressure from completing its natural nighttime dip, what cardiologists call nocturnal dipping. In a healthy person, blood pressure drops 10 to 20% during sleep, giving the heart and blood vessels critical recovery time. In individuals experiencing chronic stress, this dip never fully happens. A 20-year study conducted jointly by the American Heart Association and researchers at Johns Hopkins University found that adults who reported chronic nighttime worry and high evening stress levels had a 72% higher lifetime risk of fatal cardiovascular events compared to their peers with lower evening stress. After age 70, when the body's ability to regulate cortisol is already diminished by roughly 40%, this effect is even more pronounced and dangerous. This is what took my friend Harold. It was not just one thing. It was the accumulation, the late meals, the dehydration, the screens, the back sleeping, and underneath it all, a man who worried every night about his retirement finances without ever telling anyone. His cardiovascular system never got the recovery time it so desperately needed. The intervention is not complicated, but it must be intentional. 30 minutes before bed, practice what I call a cardiac wind down. Turn off all news and screens. Write down 3 things that went well today. Genuine research from the Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkeley shows this simple act measurably lowers cortisol within 20 minutes. Practice 4-7-8 breathing. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale slowly for 8. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your body's natural calm down system, and directly lowers heart rate and blood pressure. If prayer or meditation is part of your life, this is its most powerful application, not as a spiritual formality, but as genuine physiological medicine for your heart. Pair this with magnesium glycinate, 200 to 400 milliliters, taken 30 minutes before bed. This form of magnesium, unlike others, crosses the blood-brain barrier and directly calms the nervous system while simultaneously relaxing blood vessel walls. Studies from the National Institutes of Health have found it reduces nighttime cortisol and improves sleep quality in adults over 65 by up to 39%. Think of it as a gentle hand on your heart's shoulder, telling it that it is safe to rest tonight. Now, I want to close with something I say to every single patient I sit across from, regardless of age or condition. It is never too late. That is not empty encouragement. It is biological reality. The human body, even at 75, even at 80, even at 85, retains a remarkable capacity to heal and adapt when we remove the things that are harming it. Your heart wants to beat steadily for decades more. Your brain wants to remain sharp and clear. Your legs want to carry you to your grandchildren's birthdays and your garden in the morning and the porch in the evening. Every single change I described today, stopping the late meals, adjusting your medication timing, staying hydrated, eliminating screens, changing your sleep position, and protecting your emotional peace, each of these is within your reach tonight. Not next month, tonight. You did not make it to this age by being weak. You made it here because you are resilient, and the people who love you need you to keep going, not just to be alive, but to be present and vital and yourself. That is what these habits protect. Not just your heartbeat, but your life. All of the scientific studies I referenced today are linked in the description below. Please share this video with someone you love, a spouse, a sibling, a friend, because you may never know whose life it saves. If you are not subscribed to this channel yet, please do that right now by clicking the button below. We release new content every week dedicated entirely to helping you live longer, stronger, and with the independence you deserve. And before you go, leave me a comment right now. Tell me which of these 6 habits were you most surprised by? And are you going to make any changes tonight? I read every single comment, and I look forward to hearing from you. Take good care of yourselves. I will see you in the next one.